Hello, and welcome to Grade.com Talks With. Today, we're talking with Craig Maynard, Executive Director at United Community Corporation, an organization whose mission to assist low-income, disadvantaged, and at-risk individuals and families, including seniors and youth, to become self-sufficient and self-supporting, while enhancing their quality of life and standard of living. And if you're new to our podcast, please press subscribe button either on YouTube or your podcast app, because today we're going to learn about an organization that is moving people from dependency to self-sufficiency. Hello, Craig. Welcome to Grade.com Talks. We're excited to have you here.
Hey, thank you. And thank you for having me on.
Wonderful. Could you please describe United Community Corporation for someone who is not familiar with your work?
Sure. So we are a community action organization. Our mission is to take people from dependency to self-sufficiency. And we are located in the city of Newark, New Jersey, here in the east coast of the United States.
Mm-hmm. That's quite interesting, as your mission is moving people from dependency to self-sufficiency. So that's the journey for them to become independent and to live their lives as they reach with higher standards of living. Could you please describe, as you are based in Newark, and what are some of the challenges community members are facing in Newark that are making them to be dependent?
Yeah, so dependency, when we use the word dependency, we actually mean kind of the several avenues of dependency, several tabs, if I can say. So one tab could be, a drug or alcohol dependency, right? Another tab could be dependency on someone else, be they a spouse, a partner, a system. And then there's also the dependency on local organizations or even governmental organizations to make ends meet or to lift their families out of poverty. So the term of dependency could mean many things for many people, and we decided to use that as our tagline because our goal is to, one, help you identify what self-sufficiency is, either as an individual or a family, and then help you by assisting you in developing a plan to remove yourself from that place of dependency. And so, again, our agency is a community action agency. Our goal is to create avenues for people to get out of poverty. And then sometimes it's not just a financial poverty that creates the issue. It's the mindset of, I need to get someone to help. So we want to help people help themselves. The old statement of, teach a man to fish and he'll feed himself, right? And that's what we want to do here at this agency, is to create a way for people to identify what they need and then identify how to get there. And that's what we do here.
Mm-hmm. What I like about your approach, you mentioned dependency can mean different things. Dependency on a product or a thing, dependency on a family member, dependency on the system in general. And when you work with individuals and when you work with community members at New Work, you make sure to understand what are they dependent on, and based on that, write or draw a roadmap for them working together in their journey of becoming self-sufficiency. And as you mentioned, self-sufficiency can mean also per each individual different things. So working together for them on their individual needs, on the individual approach is enabling community members to drive and lift themselves up. So that's very wonderful.
That's exactly right. Yeah, the idea is to lift yourself out of poverty. And then by doing that, you lift your family out of poverty. And then also connected to that, hopefully, is to lift the neighborhood and then eventually the section of your city, the city. And then, I'm a global thinker, if I'm lifting myself and my family and then it spreads, eventually we can end poverty in this country. And I'm a true believer of that. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
No, no, no.
I'm
No,
really passionate about
eradicating
this.
poverty is very a noble cause, and the fact that your organization, with your leadership, is working in that direction is very wonderful. Can you please tell us the status quo at the moment in New York on the poverty? What's the gap between rich and neighborhoods and low-income neighborhoods? Is poverty a huge issue in New York, in the community that you work in?
It is, and while I may not have the exact status numbers for you, what I can say to you is that there are probably about 60% of the residents in the city of Newark are renters, which means that there are fewer homeowners and an opportunity to pull yourself out of poverty because of the lack of home ownership. There are three reasons, in my opinion, that the community here in the city of Newark continues to struggle the way that they have and we have. Not to put myself out of it, we have, and based on just kind of anecdotally, there's educational gaps in the quality of services. While Newark has some of the top high schools in the state, we still struggle with the lower grades at attaining high quality learning from kindergarten through 12. Kindergarten through 9. And then from 9 to 12, we have some really great high schools. I don't necessarily know or am willing to kind of put out a suggestion on why that is, but it is a peculiar one that I think that, people in our community have identified and complain about. The second is again the home ownership. We are the biggest city in the state of New Jersey, but to have a number of between 60 and 66% of our residents not having a connection to the land that they live on, the neighborhood that they call home, also lends to that struggle. And then and also connected to that is the decrease in taxable kind of contribution. There are a lot of vacant lots. There are a lot of burnt out and derelict buildings. And without someone who is responsible for that particular plot of land, it's hard for the city to collect necessary tax revenue off of that land, and then convert that into high quality services and programs to help its own citizens. And then thirdly, I would say that there is always this struggle when it comes to minority populations about getting a seat at the table. And regardless that the city government is predominantly led by Black and Latino individuals and representing the minority group, there is always a struggle to get others from around the state and federally to recognize that there are some hot pockets here and some opportunities to lift people out. So I think that there's the 3 points that I would stand on that say this is why we continue to struggle. And our agency is trying to address that. We have youth programming all geared towards either summer camp in educational enrichment programs. We also have an after-school enrichment program, job training for youth. We also have an anti-gang juvenile justice kind of diversionary program to help stem and stop the pipeline between the younger ages going into the criminal justice system. And then also we're involved in housing, development, plus low income opportunities for high quality living situations. And then we're an advocate for those in this community to be represented properly by those in power. And it's a full-time job, and it's a beautiful city with really strong and vibrant citizens, and necessary conversations have to happen. And I'm really glad that we're a part of that.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for highlighting three key issues when it comes to challenges that community members at New Work are facing when it's housing, it's education, and representation. And the fact that your organization has several programs devoted to each of those challenges is wonderful. And you, as a part of the New Work community, you are aware of the challenges and you are bringing solutions, you are bringing programs that affect members of the community who are affected by these challenges. So that's very wonderful. Could you please, as you mentioned, housing being one of the key problems, and you are working in that direction. You have several programs. Could you please describe your housing assistance programs or your work in that direction?
Yeah, sure. So I'm glad to do that. We have a couple of programs that are all kind of separate but connected. We have a homeless shelter. We have two homeless sites homeless shelter sites that we operate. One with the goal of getting people off of the streets, off of the park benches and the subway stations, and putting them into clean, safe, nurturing living situations and beds, for whatever amount of time they need in order to help get their lives back on track. Again, moving them from dependency to self-sufficiency. Next, we have a low-income housing complex where individuals and families can come. They can apply and receive a permanent housing assignment where they pay a subsidized rent in order to raise their families and to continue to build their own kind of success story through with the help of that subsidy. And then the goal is to have them reach a certain level and help them, assist them with transitioning out of this low-income housing complex into their own permanent home. And I would love to be able to put them into a new home or at least have them transition into something that's a little bit more theirs than what we have here. And then next, we're part of housing development. So we're building 2-family and 3-family houses on those same empty lots that I described earlier, those same derelict buildings. Some have to be knocked down, some can be rehabbed. And the crucial point I want to make is we're taking people and students from the community and teaching them a skill and a trade to beautify and build in their own community. And the product of that labor will in turn provide high quality living situations for other people in that community. So it's the community helping the community raise themselves out of poverty. And so, these homes that I'm describing to you will be sold to a low-income family. And then the goal is, when it's a 2-family, the family lives in one of the units, and they are able to rent the second unit to another family. And then, so now that they have home ownership, they own the land in the community that they live, the neighborhood that they live. They also now have an income that helps lift them out of the poverty that they were suffering through. And so that's our housing programming when it comes to home ownership. Attached to the shelter program, we also have a homeless prevention program where someone is renting, and due to some circumstances that were either out of their control or maybe slightly their control, their issue, we're providing financial support for them to stay in that home, to help them pay the arrearages due to the landlord and help that family stay in that home. We also have what we call a rapid rehousing program. So those same homeless, we call them residents without addresses. So our homeless shelter guests will be able to apply for rapid rehousing financial benefit. So they come to our shelter, they find an apartment so that they can move out of our shelter. We will help them to pay either the security deposit that they need in order to move out, or we will help them with the first or second month rent in that particular apartment. So we have a lot going on with housing because, again, I think that the reason I put it in one of the three, it's because I think that, foundation, we always talk about foundational security and success. And what's not more the definition of foundation, but a home, a safe, stable, secure home, so that you can work on whatever else is on your list of things to work on. So I apologize for preaching, but this is all.
Absolutely. The housing is indeed a safe home. A permanent home is a foundation to work on. Once you have it, then you can build on different things, different aspects of your life, improve the quality of your life.
Absolutely.
And the fact that you are addressing that problem and offering solutions, whether it's a short term when it comes to emergency shelters, or whether it's a long term building homes for low income families and bringing communities together, is a step forward into that solution and into the building that foundation. So that's very remarkable. The second area that you mentioned is working with the youth, working on providing different programs for them. And one of the programs that you have been running successfully is a Youth Build program. Could you please describe that program for us?
Yeah, sure. So Youth Build is a construction skill training program geared towards ages 16 to 24. And so those are the ages where, if you're going to make a bad decision in your life on whether you're going to, follow the bad crowd or maybe make some kind of juvenile, mistake and end up in the criminal system, the ages 16 to 24 tend to be kind of that range and when you're going to make that decision. So what we have done is through the Department of Labor here in the States here, they are funding us to provide this construction skill training program for our local youth. And we actually have the benefit of having a construction skill trade plus program. So it's not only just a construction trade that we can offer to these students, but it's also a medical health certification program. And we do CNA, that's Certified Nursing Assistant Certification, or dental hygienist certification program, and then also a computer technology certification program. And so our students are brought in and they're given three options, right? You can learn construction trade, you can learn medical, health assistance certification programming, or you can learn Cisco networking certification program. And so our students are given those three options. And while they are working on those certification programs, we are also helping them receive their high school equivalency diploma if they need it. Also, because of the other programs that our agency has, we're also helping the family meet some of those same needs that we described earlier in this conversation about trying to lift the family out of poverty. And so while we're helping the student get their certification and hopefully, be able to place them in an occupation afterwards, meanwhile, we're helping the family pull themselves out of poverty and address those emergency needs that they may have.
For sure. The youth, as you mentioned by you, from the age of 16 to 24 are the most at risk of doing something, of doing mistakes and then regretting those mistakes. However, you are working with those youth to build life skills, to build trades that can then that they can monetize and improve the quality of life of themselves as well, not only themselves as mentioned by you, but their families and in general neighborhood, community, and then the city itself. Those are the traits that are mentioned by you. Construction, the health sector and IT sectors are in demand, so there will always be, once youth learn those skills, they will always be able to make a living and sustain themselves, and be not dependent, as the mission of your organization, be
That's right.
self-sufficient. So that's very wonderful to see the direction of your work. If someone would like to support United Community Corporation, how can they do that?
Oh, we would gladly love to see both volunteerism or financial support. And you can do both at our website, www.uccnewark.org. That's www.uccnewark.org. We would love to see you click on our website. We have a bunch of programs and opportunities there for volunteering, but there's also a donate button that I would be equally as happy to see people click on.
Wonderful. The link to the United Community Corporation's website will be provided in the description. So you viewing and listening can go to the website and familiarize yourself with the great work Craig and the team at United Community Corporation is doing. Thank you so much, Craig. It was wonderful to get to know you and the great work your organization is doing.
Hey, thank you very much. And thank you again for giving us an opportunity to talk about our agency.
Wonderful. For you listening, if you enjoyed this conversation, please press like and share button, because this will show the YouTube and podcast algorithm that this conversation is important, that we need to move people from dependency to self-sufficiency. Thank you, and see you in the next episode.